Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give a official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and coming soon to HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, themikewagnershow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with a terrific lady who's a mom of 3, a pediatric nurse practitioner, and a pediatric acupuncturist, parenting coach, and host of Moms on a Mission podcast. She's also author of a terrific book. We'll talk about that. She's had extended training in Western and Chinese medicine and began a career in Boston and went on a mission trip to Brazil and Virgin Islands and back in Massachusetts. And her new book explains how children can fall into one of 5 character profiles corresponding with Chinese medicine. We'll talk about that and how forcing a child into a certain mold can cause, I guess we'll just find out as well, too. So live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful outside Cape Cod, the very multi-talented mom of 3, pediatric nurse practitioner, pediatric acupuncturist, parenting coach, host of a podcast, and author of a brand new book, A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution. Ladies and gentlemen, Julie Hatch. Julie, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon. At least it is here. Nice to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too. So basically, you're a pediatric nurse practitioner, an acupuncturist, parenting specialist, and a mom, and you a traditional Western medicine practitioner and turned alternative holistic practitioner. And you also had your experience as well, too. Extensive training in Western and Chinese medicine, began a career in Boston. You want a mission trip to Brazil, the Virgin Islands, and back. And you also have a brand new book as well, too, called A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution. You also have a podcast and more. And before getting to all that, Julie, tell us how you first got started.
Can you say that again?
Tell us how you first got started.
Well, I got started. I've been working with kids forever. 30 years as a nurse practitioner, in neonatology and pediatrics, 3 kids of my own. So it's been a lifelong passion of mine, actually, kids are. But I got to this book by pursuing holistic health through acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And I found that there's a healthier, better way, I think, to raise kids than what we're doing now in our crazy Western world, probably Eastern world too. But anyways, there's a easier, I think, a more comprehensive way to raise kids, meaning holistic. And it's easier on the kids, it's easier on the parents. So that's what I am putting forth in my book and on my podcast.
Mm-hmm. And what inspired you to, begin your career as a practitioner, the first moment that simply influenced you into what you're doing for the rest of your career?
Well, as a nurse practitioner, as going to nursing school, you're exposed to all kinds of stuff. And I instantly felt pediatrics, and I've never left pediatrics. I've never worked with adults as a nurse or a nurse practitioner. As an acupuncturist, I see adults because their kids are not such a big population for acupuncture. But I've been with kids throughout the beginning of from the beginning of my nursing school program, all the way through to where I am now. And I'm pretty old. So that's many years.
Mhm. And of course, you also had extensive training as well, too, in Western and Chinese medicine. And also, you went on a mission trip to Brazil, Virgin Islands, and more. And maybe just tell us about your travels as well, too. You seem to travel a lot to learn this.
Well, I did do a medical mission to Brazil back 15 years ago, maybe 15 or 20 years ago. And that's where, so I went on the medical mission tour to Brazil to help kids who are being treated for cancer. And I got to Brazil and I couldn't speak the language. I couldn't practice nursing or anything else that I knew. And so that's where I got introduced to holistic medicine. So I came back to the States after being in Brazil for a little while and pursued, went to massage school, Reiki school, learned about craniosacral therapy, reflexology, all these other holistic modalities. And then I landed on acupuncture and went to acupuncture school in Boston. And then my first acupuncture office I opened in the Virgin Islands, which is what my trip to the Virgin Islands was about. And I stayed there for 3 years working as an acupuncturist. Then a major hurricane hit, wiped out St. John, which is where we were living, and moved back to Massachusetts. So here I am working as an acupuncturist and working with kids.
Wow, that's amazing too. And also your book as well, too, A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution. We'll talk about that in just 1 minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Mosensia. Available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 30 podcast platforms and HamiltonRadio.net, Diamonds FM, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia. For great books, merchandise, and more, Amazon.com/Mia Mosensia. Check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com at the Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the author of A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution, Julie Hatcher, on the Mike Wagner Show. And let's talk about the book for just a minute. You're being a mom of 3, pediatric nurse practitioner. You also travels as well, too. And tell us more about the book and what inspired you to write it.
What inspired me to write it is seeing the rates of anxiety and depression in today's kids, especially the adolescents. It's just rising, rising, rising. Before COVID, it was rising. Mm-hmm. Teen suicide is a number 2 cause of death in adolescence. So something that we're doing, there's a lot of parenting books and people have been trying to revamp parenting, and something's not working. So this book was directed or aimed. The goal was to help us find a new way to parent that will help with these levels of anxiety and depression, and help kids to grow into adults that are well functioning and can function in their adult life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you were going to say something? Go ahead.
No, that's why I wrote the book, really about the anxiety and depression. As I watched kids and parents interact, I thought there's something that, there's things that I would like to tell them that might help. Not tell them that they have to do, but that might help. Guidance, suggestions.
Mm-hmm. And comparing to parenting, quite some time ago, even 10, 20, 30 years ago whatsoever, what do you think the difference has been, and what is causing all of a sudden like to fail, or say with, teens suicide going up at a really high rate. It's like, before it's just like it was at a low rate. Now it's like it's just on the rise. I mean, what went wrong, do you think?
Yeah, the suicide rate, I think that probably goes along with the anxiety rates. I think suicide rate is the final point of being so anxious. And there are a couple of things that I think that are going on. I think that anxiety comes in kids from undue pressure from parents and from schools to succeed and to be a certain way and to be popular and to get into this school or that school. Pressure to perform. That may not fit the child. Some kids do fine with that kind of pressure, and a lot of kids don't. So I think the pressure is making them feel really anxious that they're going to be disappointing their parents, disappointing their teachers, and that they need to just push in ways that don't feel good to them, to succeed, whatever you want to call success. The other thing that I think is going on is that parents are overprotective. The kids are not being well prepared to get out into the world because their parents are taking care of everything for them. And this is generalization. It's just what I see. And it's not all parents by any means, but it's a generalization. So I see the parents are clearing the road, making so there are no bumps, there's no troubles, they don't get into trouble, they don't fail, they always succeed. And that is so unrealistic. And kids just are ill prepared. And I hear about colleges that say that the kids just are not emotionally prepared for what goes on in college, never mind real life. College is easy compared to real life. So I think that we're overprotecting them and not allowing them to spread their wings earlier and sooner.
Mm-hmm. He also mentioned about the characteristics of the child. There's also the 5 characteristics profile according to the corresponds with Chinese medicine, and
Yep.
Tell us more about the 5 elements and how does each element correspond to a child.
So y'all and children, it's easier to find out because they're younger and it's easier to get to what's really there. Their elements are reflective of what their true nature is, who they are, and it helps to form their personality, their the way that they are in the world. Some people consider it to be their temperament, certainly. There are all kinds of words that can go into what their element type is. So you find out there are 5 elements in Chinese medicine, and they are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And you take a questionnaire that's in my book or on my website, and you find out what your child's element type is. And there's certain characteristics and traits within each one. And then it tells you what your child needs. It tells you what motivates your child, what makes them feel good about life, what enlivens them, what's going to make them go out and do certain things. And then it also tells you what their stressors are and what's going to make them unhappy and stressed and behave badly and just doesn't work. So all element types has something that feeds them and makes them feel great, and some things that stress them and makes them not feel great at all. Mm-hmm. And so if you can find out what your element type is and you parent to that element type, for instance, a water child, they're pretty artistic, withdrawn, quiet, don't need a whole lot of friends. And so if you can respect that and not try to force them to be out there making a lot of friends or denying them their artistic abilities, then parenting to their element type is really what they need. It tells you what they need in life.
Mm-hmm. And what about the other elements, like say with wood, fire, earth, and metal as well too? Describe what a wood child would be, a fire, and earth, and also a metal, and how would you cater to that style?
Okay, so a wood child is super active. They like to go. They're competitive. They can sometimes be loud. They don't like to be necessarily contained or put in or told to, certainly not to be told to sit still or to stay somewhere. They're on a go. They are, a lot of ADHD kids are probably wood children, but they like to go. They like to be competitive. They like to win. They like to be first. They don't care what the next person says. They're just out there. It corresponds with the season of spring. Chinese medicine does a lot of related to the natural world around us. So the spring is when things are coming up and blooming and getting really out there, and so that's what the wood children are. They're out there. They go, and don't try to stop them. Fire children are also kind of go, 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 but they're more charismatic. They care more about getting attention and entertaining people and being funny and getting the feedback from people. They like being the center of attention. They like being the center of attention. That's really it. And so if they're drama people, they love being on stage. On the same hand, they can be drama queens or kings, and they can have meltdowns and be so dramatic about everything, but they love the feedback that they get from people. So they're out there also, but they're looking for the feedback and the attention from other people. Earth children are they're sort of in the middle between the go, 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 and they're really, really quiet. So they're the peacekeepers. They are the people that can bring both sides together. They like to be around people, but they don't like to be the center of attention. Their family and their friends and human contact are super important to Earth kids. So they like to know that their parents are around and like to sit in the lap and hug them. They're very affectionate. They're big teddy bears. They're big Buddhas. They're just really lovable and loving, and they just want peace around them and their family and friends around them. And then water, I kind of went into. Metal this is getting more into fall, and metal you can think of as kind of a rigid material. And metal children are rigid. They can be a little bit OCD. They are not flexible. They need to know what's happening. They need to know predictability. They need to know what the rules are, and they will follow the rules. They're the ones that line up their toy cars perfectly in line when they're little kids. They like everything orderly. And those are the big things with metal. If you try to tell a metal child that their schedule is going to be all out of whack and you don't know what's going to happen and somebody will come pick you up today, we don't know who it's going to be, that's going to set them off into a tizzy. They need to know what to expect and what is predictable, and then they do great.
Mm-hmm. And then how do you decide to take this approach, when it comes to parenting guide, and also too, like with your kids, it's like, what were the elements, described in your kids as well?
Yeah, it's an easy way to really be able to, we all know our kids, certainly. This is just a different way of looking at them and sort of knowing what is driving them, what's making them like what they like, not like what they like, and behave the way that they do. So my kids, I have a metal, and I rarely had to discipline him. He knew the rules and he wanted to follow the rules. He wanted his siblings to follow the rules. He was a rule follower, and he likes things in order. And now he's a really successful scientist. He is a biophysics scientist. So he's Another child is fire, and he loves the attention, and his path, my kids are all in their late 20s. His path has been here, 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 here. That's another thing about fire children. They get attracted to the bright, shiny thing. They're not going to stay on one path usually. And my son has tried this and tried that and that and that. And he's just doing, his path goes like this, and that's fire. He goes for the newest, latest thing. And then my youngest one is a wood child, and he has many broken bones in his body, very active skateboarder, snowboarder, but he's also earth. Sometimes you can have two elements. He's also earth. He's very much the peacekeeper. He's so laid back. He's easygoing. People adore him. So he's a wood and an earth. So it's really interesting when you do the quiz and you can see what your kids are and how they interact with each other, the different element types, how they interact, and also how the parents' element type is and how it interacts. Growing up, my mother and my sister were both fire, and they just went all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's interesting that the way that the archetypes is another way that people look at it, but it's different from archetypes. It's just the element type they're born with it. There's no changing it. And so the more that we can honor it and respect it and parent to it, the better off we are and the better off our kids are.
Mm-hmm. You also talked about some of the conflicts where fire versus fire. Then you also got like wood versus metal, and say water versus fire and everything else. It's like, how do you manage conflicts when it comes to like, either having like both go at it, or just like, different stuff like wood versus metal, or say water versus fire and earth versus metal and everything's like, how do you manage the conflicts and what to recognize? And it's like, how do you manage like to come together without more serious conflict?
Yeah. It's not always a matter of well, it is managing, but it's more being aware and and knowing what to expect. Being aware that your middle child is not going to like to have his cars thrown all over the place. His middle child is going to want them in place. And so if your fire child comes in and tries to stir things up, which happened a lot in my house, you just had to be prepared for it. And you had to know how to handle each child, how to talk with them. I mean, it's not easy. Every child is different. So you have to, no matter what types they're all different. And so it's best to know what to expect from each one and be prepared to respond rather than to react. But if you're prepared and you're thinking, okay, this might set them off, or this might work really well, just being prepared and being aware of what they're about.
Mhm. And also too with social medias as well too. Do you think this accelerates the whole thing? Does it recognize all the elements as well too? It's just like how's social media like with affects the kids, like a depression or say like encourage abilities and everything like that. And
Yeah.
what from your point of view technology and social media has on kids?
I think social media has the potential and is a big problem. It's here. Technology is here. Obviously, the internet is here. Phones are here, and kids have phones at younger and younger ages. But I think that social media is a big problem, and because it hurts. And I'm thinking mostly about young teens, because it affects their self-image, and
Mhm.
it makes them. It's just, it can have such unrealistic but very negative influences on kids. And I don't know what the answer is, other than for parents to be aware of what their kids are doing online and to see who they're interacting with and how much they're spending on social media. I don't know what the answer is, but and I'm reading more and more about it and what people are proposing and what things, because it's not good. I don't think. And it's not automatically blanketly bad, but it's something that we need to be really aware of and careful of, and um, paying attention to, and thinking about what other ways that we can help our kids around it. I don't know how we help our kids around it, because they're glued to it. They're glued to social media. So
Mhm. You also have you also talk about the vision of higher evolution as well too, and tell us more about that. Why is that important?
I think of the higher evolution is there are some people that are, so I'm sort of into consciousness and mindfulness and trying to raise my conscious level, which is kind of a higher evolution. So I picture higher evolution as, especially with kids, since they are our future, as being where they are not so consumed with materialism or um, societal pressures or appearances, for instance, on social media, or doing what they think they should do to meet societal expectations just for the sake of meeting societal expectations, but rather doing something because they want to. And I think that if we can help kids to really get in touch with what they want, who they are, and what they really want, not what because the parents want or society wants, but what they really want, they're going to act from more at a higher level of consciousness that is coming from within, rather than going outside to look for all of the reinforcements and the positive reinforcements and the self-worth, because it's not there. Everything is in here. And if we can help kids, which we can, kids are so susceptible to whatever we want to help them with, then they're going to, the world's going to be a better place with kids that are a little more conscientious and less fixated on what is expected of them and what they're supposed to be doing if it doesn't feel right to them.
Mhm. And what would you consider the correct parenting style as well too, and maybe some of the takeaways parents should have when it comes to raising kids in today's society? Of course, it's changed over the decades, and
Mhm.
what are some things you got us to take away from it, the correct parenting style, and more as well?
I think that there's a bunch of things, and that's a lot of what the book goes into. First, well, I don't know about first, it's not in priority, but what comes to mind first is to connect with your kids, to really spend some time with your kids. It doesn't matter so much as the amount of time, but the quality of time, and to connect with them, listen to them, hear what they have to say, let them know that you are listening, that they matter to you, that they're important, because that's the first way for kids to get that inner sense of, oh, self-worth. I'm good because my parents are listening to me. They're paying attention to me. And I don't mean paying attention to them every single second of the day, but conscious, mindful paying attention with them, having a conversation at dinner or a conversation in the car, and really listening to them, letting them know, putting your phone down, letting them know that they count and that you're listening. Modeling, I think that if we model what we want to see out of our kids, it's really very, very simple, but we don't always model what we want to see. Sometimes we model really not good behavior. But if we model what we want to see in our kids, that's another good thing. And again, taking the pressure off, backing up, letting the child explore and do what they think they should do, guide them in the direction that their true nature says that, or their element type says that they might excel in, guide them, but don't control them. Don't try to make them what you think they should do. Don't try to make them do what you wish you had done or been able to do when you were a kid, what you missed out in life. Don't try to force them into what is not naturally them, and take the pressure off. And then also ease up on yourself as a parent. Parents are taking it, so rightly so, they're taking it seriously, but sometimes we just take it, everybody just gets all and just relax, ease up on your kid and ease up on yourself. And I think things will go a lot smoother and easier.
And of course, with all the anxiety, depression, and trying to figure out the parenting styles and everything else, how does the Eastern philosophies, apply in the book as well, like Western medicine, Chinese, and Eastern medicine, everything? Like, how does all this, apply in the book, and how can it apply to parents and kids?
Yeah, Eastern medicine, that's why I just fell in love with acupuncture and Chinese medicine, is because it's just so rich with such great age-old, thousands of year old teachings and beliefs and ways of living. They live very much close to nature. So I think that we've cut ourselves off from nature. And if we could get closer to nature and get our kids out in nature more often, that in itself would do a whole lot to the problems of anxiety and depression. Being out in nature is just, it's been proven time and time again that that's helpful. But also Eastern medicine is about, it's about a lot of things, but it is also about letting go. There's something called Wu Wei, where you just let go and let things, you go up with the ups and down with the downs, and let things just sort of be the way they are, and you go with it and it all works out, is really kind of what they say. They talk about, as Buddhism, compassion and gratitude, all of which are just great things to instill in kids, which I don't think is that we're doing all that much in, I don't want to just say the Western world, but to be able to help your child learn what gratitude and really feel the gratitude and compassion towards someone else. And kids have it when they're young. They're naturally compassionate. They're naturally grateful. And then I don't know what happens, life happens and we kind of lose it, or it gets buried, but it's there. So those great qualities of compassion, that's just part of Eastern medicine. It's just a gentle little way of living, basically.
And if the parents want to go the holistic route to raise the kids, what's the first thing you recommend?
Being mindful, meaning paying attention. So mindfulness is being present in the moment without judgment, just being there and accepting the moment. So if your child is doing whatever they're doing, just understand that's what they're doing. Don't react necessarily, but just be aware of what's happening in the moment without judgment. We often judge our kids. We rush to judgment, but to accept what's happening in the moment. And then you can respond rather than initially react. Once you're mindful and paying attention, then you can respond. But also, even more so, holistic is mind, body, spirit. So seeing your child for the whole child that they are, not just their behavior that's bothering you or their bad grades that's bothering you, or we always harp on the negativity of our kids and what's going on with them, but look at the whole child, which is what the 5 elements does. See what other many great things the child has to offer and is all about, and open your mind and your vision up to that as well.
And also, you also got more as well too. You also have a podcast called Moms on a Mission. We'll talk about it in just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Julie Hatch of A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution after this time out. We're back with author Julie Hatch of A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution here on the Mike Wagner Show. And you also have a podcast called Mums on a Mission. And tell us more about that. What inspired you to start the podcast?
The podcast was to get the message out, basically, which is why I wrote the book. I feel like I have a message to get out there about how to help kids grow up without the anxiety and depression. So I started the podcast. I talked about the 5 elements, talked a lot about what I talk about in the book. And then I brought in other guests. Every week I have other guests who are along the same, think along the same ways, a holistic way, a more I say healthier, emotionally healthier way of raising kids. A whole host of a bunch of guests, which has been really great. And we talk about homeschooling. We talk about intimacy with your partner after you've had kids. There's all kinds of great guests on the podcast. It started out though as my trying to get my message out, like I did with my book, about a kinder, gentler, easier, better, I think, way of raising kids.
And also too, the fact that you give really good advice to parents. What's the moment you want to say to parents right now? What are some of the takeaways you want to say to your parents at this time, or to parents at this time?
Okay, well, I would tell parents to pay attention to your kids. Let them know that they matter. Let them know that you love them no matter what, unconditionally, even when they have tracked mud over the white carpet or broken the dishes, that you love them no matter what, because we do. And we need to let them know. They don't always know that. We need to let them know.
Even stepping on a dog's tail also?
Right? I would also say to redefine our ideas of success for our kids and let our kids find their own success. What makes them feel successful is not necessarily what we think is successful. Help them find what makes them feel successful and redefine what success is. Is it $1 million bank account, or is it feeling really good about getting up and going to work every day? Modeling, again, model what you want. And then finally, I would say, again, just believe that you're doing a good job. This is enjoy it. Enjoy your kids and just do the best you can. Relax a little bit. Every so often, when you feel like it's just getting out of control, breathe and just step back and say, it's all going to work out. They're all going to come out to be fine. So just not to be too hard on yourself as a parent.
And that's really good advice as well to all the moms and dads out there. We're with author Julie Hatch of The Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution on the Mike Wagner Show. And just a few more things, Julie, we'll have you back and talk about more. What else can we expect from you in 2022 and beyond?
Well, I'm doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of radio shows about my book. I've actually started another book. It is not about parenting. It is about my experience. It's a medical thriller. It's a fiction. It's a novel about my experience working in pediatric intensive care and neonatal intensive care. So it's I'm having a ball writing that. So and then eventually I might go back to writing the nonfiction about parenting. I'd like to write a book for adolescents to help them navigate through adolescence. But that's on the back burner.
We're certainly looking forward to it, Julie. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
What's been the biggest influence? My kids. My kids have taught me a whole lot, and they've taught me a lot. And then I think that my 3 years in acupuncture school, I continue to read about Taoism and Buddhism and Chinese medicine and Eastern philosophies, because it's like I say, it's just rich, and it's a lifelong learning experience with that whole culture, and that whole culture has to teach. I love it. It's just, yeah.
That's something as well too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
The best advice I would say is to breathe, enjoy the moment. Try not to worry about the future or dwell on the past, but live in the moment and smile and breathe. And, what is, and you can make the most of it, or you can make the worst of it. It's up to you. It's a choice.
And that's very good advice as well. Once again, author Julie Hatch of A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution on the Mike Wagner Show. Julie, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Learned a lot from you. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact? Where can people purchase? Check out your books, check out your services, and especially check out your podcast.
Yeah, everything actually is on my website, which is juliephillipshatch.com. My parenting coaching services are there, starting with a free introductory call where I talk with the parent and find out what's going on with them. My book information is there. It's also available on Amazon. It's also available on Barnes and Noble online. My acupuncture services are on my website as well, but that doesn't quite apply here because that's all done in person. My podcasts are recorded and put on my website. So juliephillipshatch.com is really the best place to get a hold of me and find out more about me, and where you can get my book, or go to Amazon and or Google A Parenting Revolution for Higher Evolution.
We certainly will do so. Once again, Julie, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'll have it back. We wish you all the best. You've got a great future ahead of you.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thanks for having me.